Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Time. I'm Matt. This is Jay. He's drinking tea. I talk about that a lot. We don't need to talk about it.
You're ruining the immersion.
I am.
Well, anyway, today we're going to be talking about a pretty recent horror-esque movie called Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-ho. It's entirely in Korean, and I have to say it was a pretty interesting movie. Basically, a general idea of what it's about. It's this boy gets a job as a tutor at some rich family's house, and he's from a poor family. So as a way to get money, him and his family kind of con their way into the rich family's house as like workers, all while trying to keep the fact that they're related a secret. And it's a very interesting way to kind of watch this family kind of sneak their way in and then try and hide themselves in plain sight, basically. It takes a strange turn. And I don't know,
Just a strange one.
A very strange one.
Really quickly, just mild spoiler warning. I have not watched the trailer. I meant to before doing this review. I don't know how much we just gave away. I don't think a lot. If it doesn't show that and you're like, oh, they just spoiled the movie, we did not. That is the first 4 minutes of the movie, basically. But we're going to talk about some other things in minor detail, just kind of know what we're talking about, because we watched this movie Wednesday, it is Friday, and we haven't talked about this movie yet.
We haven't, no.
Because we like doing this.
Yeah.
This movie is just I'm a film major, and so every film major in the world's like, Parasite, greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. Whenever a movie like that rolls around, I'm like, oh, God, here we go. This is going to be one of those annoyingly slow, weird movies that just is fine to me. Like, I get it.
Right.
Parasite was not that. I get it. I get why people talk about Parasite the way they're talking about Parasite. I might not love it as much as they do, but I understand the talk and I deeply enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was super cool as well.
Yeah.
It started off with a very interesting premise, but the one point in the movie.
Oh my God.
I think you probably know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So there's this scene that takes place, and the whole family's at the whole family's at the house.
Yeah, the rich house.
And they're kind of relaxing. It's a moment, and something happens that sent chills down my spine.
Yeah, it was cool because the rest of the movie has been this kind of slow burn comedy, kind of dramatic, weird, slow-paced movie, and the first instance of horror is put into like somewhere in the middle of the movie, and it's absolutely just like it's bone chilling the way it happens because
oh my god, I don't know how long that scene is.
Yeah,
that's one night. That scene is one night, and I have no idea how long it is in the movie. I was just sitting there like this.
Yeah.
For about a good maybe 40 minutes. I don't know. So I think that was the whole middle of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It very well could be.
It went by like that, but I have no idea how long it was. And it's one of the more intense, it's probably the most nail-biting thing I've seen in a movie since ever.
I think I definitely give credit to Bong Joon-ho for building that tension after having such kind of modest amount of like drama.
We'll talk about the comedy in a second, because this movie's hysterical.
It is very funny, but to be able to kind of like just turn on a pin and like just be able to 180 your entire movie into the horror genre in one small moment is just it was crazy to see that.
It's funny. I think I know how he did it. What I always find creepy, and it's how the movie started a little bit, if I remember right, is like is bells. I don't know why I always found bells like kind of creepy. The bells like ding ding, and right as the horror starts, you hear that. Right before it starts, you hear that, and instantly all the sound drops. You hear ding, ding, and you're like, "What is that? What is that? What is happening?" I don't know why it's so creepy, but the first half of this movie is this poor family kind of just playing on these rich families' fears of their children, and it's so funny. Like the mom is convinced her first grade son is going to grow up to be this artist, and you look at the painting and it just makes no sense, and she's like, isn't he great? He's so great. And it's just such a mom thing to do. They nailed the mom, they nailed the dad in both families, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, the dad in the poor family, his name was Kim. He was a very interesting character.
He was my favorite character.
He changed a lot during the movie, and in very organic ways, which is hard to do when you're changing that drastically.
Yeah.
But there was never a time where I felt like he made an action out of his realm of thought. On top of that, both the families just had very interesting characters, like you said, and it played a very comedic take on our lives by just kind of satirizing how we fantasize the artist thing and
Yeah,
tutoring and all that
how
stuff.
we handle our kids. Like our kids need to be perfect, and if they can't pay attention when they're in first grade, there's something terribly wrong with them. Stuff like that, and it was entertaining. Although I do have some complaints with this movie.
Yeah, and before you get into that, I do want to say that another thing, just quickly, the cinematography in the movie was
Oh
also...
yeah, right.
It was up my alley. I know 100% I was talking about how I love pristine shots and like very still things happening with a lot happening in that one shot without moving too much of the camera.
Right.
They did a lot of that, which was very cool to see, and there were a lot of 50-50 shots that kind of symbolized these two different things happening at one time.
The cinematography was gorgeous.
It was very good.
I love it in a shot where it will like just be like a shot of the two of us right here, just looking at our faces, and they'll be doing something down here, and they'll finally just pan down, show what they're doing, and then just pan back up.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's just a very subtle thing to do, but it's just really nice because you expect cut, 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 cut. There's also some beautiful tracking shots in this movie, especially when the horror elements start.
Oh man, yeah.
That the soundtrack like builds up and your heart is pounding.
The soundtrack was great.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything exemplary, but I think it really fit what it was going for. And finally, the writing. I wouldn't know how much about the dialogue because I don't speak Korean. I know the translations, but those are usually rough.
Yeah.
But the writing and the storytelling, it was basically like dramatic irony of the movie. And I do love myself some dramatic irony.
It was dramatic irony.
There was a ton of irony in it it was very creative and very clever and witty that I kind of just enjoyed. And that's where a lot of the humor came from as well, and a lot of the tension building, which I thought it was very impressive to write. With that many,
The storytelling is top notch.
It is, yeah.
I've seen a couple of his other movies. Bong Joon-ho.
Yep.
Got it right. He's such a great director. I want to get his name right. I've seen Host, Okja, and Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer was my favorite movie of his. I'm still going to show you that movie. That's such a great movie. I think I like this one a little bit better. I don't know, though. I want to rewatch Snowpiercer. I haven't seen it in about 7 years.
That's fair.
But yeah, he has this very interesting way of kind of telling satires of society, but not without making them too like political in a sense. Like you watch it, like I know exactly what he's going for, but he doesn't overreach his step by making like a Trump joke or something, and you're just okay, you've lost me now. Like,
I get what you mean.
Yeah, we've gone too far over. He does such a good job of building the world that's realistic that we can imagine ourselves living in. One scene I really love, it shows rain, and they're enjoying it when they're the rich family, and it's beautiful, and they're watching the thunderstorm, and it's great. Then you go down to where they actually live in the poverty, and the rain's flooding people.
Yeah, it's just destroying.
It's destroying everything. I think it's such a great thing how like beautiful we like, especially me with snow. I love the snow, but I can't even imagine being homeless in the snow. That'd be terrible. I love it though. I've never thought of it like that before, and it's kind of a creepy thing.
It is, yeah. No, the storytelling within the visuals as well was just very unique. Because like there were a lot of times where the shot would transition like that, or even just have both things in one shot, where you can see two completely different stories happening with before your eyes. And
Right.
I think in that case it was very good cinematography.
All right, okay, negatives.
Yeah.
I have very few, and they don't factor in that much for my rating of this movie. My one little one is actually a disagreement I have with you. There's a choice that the dad makes in the third act that came off like, whoa. I think it meant to come off like, well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm going to give points away from it. I want to watch this movie. I'm definitely buying the movie. I want to watch it again because maybe when I watch it again, it will make more sense. I'm pretty sure I understand why. And I like that it happened, but I don't think it was 100% a like flow of character, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of felt it was like,
that point with me in the movie, I felt the way he was kind of building over time. It was a big shock thing when it happened, but when I had to write a paper for this movie immediately after, and when writing it, I found a lot of stuff about his character that I didn't like really take note of, and when thinking back on it, that I felt like there was a little more to his progression than I thought when I was watching it, and when seeing it kind of in that way and seeing the ending happen while knowing what happened before, it kind of made sense to me, and I thought that it was a better progression than what I thought before.
I liked the fact that they played off the smell for comedy.
Yeah.
But then I'm pretty sure that has a very drastic character
very
thing.
big, yeah.
Yeah, very big. So I wasn't really paying attention to it.
Yeah.
But when I rewatch it, I really want to pay attention to it
Yeah.
and see how often it happens, I guess.
Comes up
'Cause
3 times, yeah.
was it 3 times? It might be more.
It might be more. I know at least 3
Yeah,
times.
I remember 3 though.
Yeah, they comment on the smell of like homeless people and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that comes up about 3, maybe more times, but at least 3.
But my huge negative that I will take points away from this movie, it is 10 minutes too long.
Yeah, no, I would.
There is about 4 points where I'm like, oh wow, this is the ending. Fade out, fade in. Oh, this is the ending. Fade
Yeah.
out, fade in. I'm like, what is happening right now?
It didn't feel as long as other movies have felt to me, but it did kind of feel its runtime, which was 2 hours something.
2 hours and 12 minutes.
2:12, yeah.
Why do I remember run times? You always ask me, I have it exact, and I don't know why. Watch me be wrong about the Parasite runtime now.
Yeah, watch that. But yeah, it was a little over 2 hours, which
Yeah.
it did feel its runtime. It didn't feel over for me. But
I mean, I didn't have an issue with the runtime. It's just I felt like there was a much more natural, better way to end this story than how it did. Now, where I want it to end and where it actually ends is actually about a 7-minute difference. It's not that long. Not a lot happens. It's not a big deal.
oh,
But it's just, to me, it would have been such a great ending and left people going, what does that mean? What could that be? Like, what's going on in that situation? And I love movies that end like that. That end you thinking, like, what could happen next?
talking about the very ending with the narration.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That was my one.
That's my one complaint. It was almost a perfect movie until that narration, and that narration just sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, and like I talk about a lot, I don't like narration in movies. I'd rather be shown instead of being told kind of explicitly. what's
I
happening.
used to hate narration until I watched Shawshank Redemption, which has very little narration, but there is some. And I was like, okay, you can do narrative right. Same with like Forrest Gump. You can do narrative right.
Yeah,
It's just really hard not to come off lazy.
Yeah, when it's just someone talking for however long, and you're just watching visuals to support that dialogue.
Yeah.
It gets kind of stale and hard to focus after that. But
What would you rate Parasite?
I want to watch it again because I like it, and because same reasons you want to watch it again. But as for now, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
8 out of 10.
I want to give it the 9 out of 10. That middle section and the first 2 acts, and even the third act of this movie, I was never bored. I was entertained throughout. It was great. It's just, it bothers me because it's just such a little mistake that I feel like if they watched it one more time through, they would have been like, oh, we could actually, right there. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10 though.
9 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it. I'm just gonna deduct a point. It's really brief. The rest of the
Right.
movie itself, I really didn't have a flaw with. I thought it about nailed everything.
I agree. I think there were very little things that kind of add up, and when you're reaching my 9s and 10s, you got to be polishing
That's
those
true.
for me. Yeah.
did Llewyn Davis reach a 9 out of 10, or is that still an 8?
It's definitely like a 9 at least.
That's
at
a
least
9. Oh, I showed him a 9. Okay.
Yeah, you showed
that
me a
that
9.
and Hereditary.
That and Hereditary. Hereditary is probably a 10 out of 10 for me.
No.
Probably a 10 out of 10.
Okay, we have to have a long conversation about this. All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode of Coffee Time. Parasite is available to rent. Go check it out. It is a great, great movie. If you're not a big fan of foreign films, this is a great start to get into them because it's very much not one of those foreign movies you hear a lot about. It's very much for everybody. And yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode of Coffee Time.
Yeah. Stay frosty.